Hello, it's Eric O'Sullivan, Rev.Sully, ordained on the internet. As always, the caveat, please do not burn your hands holding on to my hot takes. If you do, then that's on you. This one's about comic books and about the ages of comic books. In the beginning, there was the Golden Age. It was probably between, well, not probably, the Golden Age is between the 1930s and the 1950s. And then there is the Silver Age, which began the new era of superhero comics. Well, what happened in the late 50s was that, old-time Western stories, gunslingers, that became the big genre. Superhero stories were pushed to the side. In the 60s, though, began the space race, and there was a big reintroduction of the superhero comic books that go straight until today. Now, there is something called the Bronze Age, and this is where I divert from the pack. And the Bronze Age begins in the mid-70s, the early 70s. I'm not too sure of the dividing line, but the Silver Age ends and the Bronze Age begins, and the Bronze Age goes into the late 80s or so. These are for marketing purposes, and it's in the Overstreet Buyer's Guide, and these are just accepted terms in the fandom and of comic books. But what I think is that the Silver Age ended in the 80s. I think the Silver Age went on into the early 80s. My point is that Jerry Conway's Firestorm was the last Silver Age hero. That Firestorm took the idea of having morals and having, using science as part of his story, and he's a classic Silver Age hero. So much so, Mr. Conway agreed with my notion on Twitter once a couple of years ago. That was nice. It's my opinion that there is no Bronze Age, that it goes straight from the Silver Age into the Dark Age, and that, like Rome didn't fall overnight. Rome fell into decrepitude over time, such as the Silver Age. It kind of starts its descent with the death of Gwen Stacy, and it gets darker from Flash killing Reverse Flash, and to Aquaman Jr., Aquababy being killed by Black Manta. And I really feel that the Silver Age ends in the early 80s with Crisis on Infinite Earths, specifically also Watchmen, and Frank Miller's seminal Dark Knight Returns. And then it enters what I call the Dark Ages of comic books. And this Dark Age goes pretty much until the 90s, in the early 2000s, where just comics get dark. They get reality-based. Batman lost his smile. Watchmen simultaneously is the best thing and the worst thing ever to happen to superhero comic books. And we've been reeling from that ever since. And superhero comic books lost their joie de vivre, they lost their pluck and aplomb, and they became too reality-based. So much so that we still suffer from it today. And that all of our modern problems have to be represented in these fictional worlds. They don't. This is supposed to be escapism. There's supposed to be a refuge for our problems. But now it's just a constant reminder of our social obligation to this, form of justice, which is probably, that's what Batman does. But remember, Batman's a vigilante. Batman's outside the law. Batman is extrajudicial. And these are make-believe places with make-believe characters. And they have their own problems. If you had a Superman in a world, would you have this lack of social justice? No, you wouldn't. I mean, it doesn't jibe. It just so in modern comics now, we've left the Dark Age, we've left the new Quantum Age, which I call like this Quantum Age. It began in about 2000 with Grant Morrison, Warren Ellis, Mark Millar. See these awesome superhero stories that just elaborated on the Dark Age of the super realism. But now, since about 2016, there's been agenda and didactic learning moments and pushing and lean into, and I think it's unfair to call it forced diversity. I think that's a really bad term for it. I mean, representation and diversity do matter. Yet now it's to the point where I'm going to put my link for redhead erasure right here. Okay? Replacing redheads with people of color, you can't flip that, and you can't replace people of color with redheads. But one exists and one doesn't? I mean, that doesn't scan, as Batman said in Final Crisis. So the Dark Age, we're still reeling from it, and I just don't think there is a Bronze Age. This is just my personal opinion, and that's just a marketing tool to help people define a certain age of comic books. I see it as something else, but hey, I'm an independent thinker. I'm a maverick. I don't see a Bronze Age. I just see a Dark Age, and it got brighter, but then it got ruined again. And yeah, I mean, do you read modern comics? Do you like them? Some of you might. I mean, maybe they're made for you. Because remember, comic books were once made for boys and girls who like boys. And now it's making it for everyone. Well, they're only actually really made for few. And the pre-existing fan base, well, we're guilty of mind crime for not accepting our didactic learning moments and the bad art and the bad stories and the constant, need. I mean, there's something about Rousseau and something about postmodernism. The most neediest people in the world need. I need understanding. I need your attention. I need you to adopt my values and my ideology. I need. I'm with Nietzsche. Will to power and purpose. It's there. It's yours. Grab it. Strive for it. So, there is a Bronze Age? Yes. I accept that. I respect it. But my personal philosophy is there is no Bronze Age. It went right to dark. And we're still suffering from the Dark Ages of comic books. And comic books now are, well, its own thing. And what do you think? You want to leave a comment? Please leave a comment. I want to know what you think. If you like this content, give me a thumbs up. You don't like this content, give me a thumbs down. Big lad, I can handle it. And give me a subscribe if you like this content, okay? Thank you so much for tuning in. But yeah, Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, New Age, Dark Age. It got really dark, okay? It did. And now it's the Progressive Age. And it's only appealing to like a certain amount of people. It's not for everyone anymore. And it's not made for you. It's not made for you, huh? No. Comics should be for everyone. Superhero stories were made for everyone. And they're inspirational. And they were escapism. And to dovetail all of our modern problems, superheroes can't solve Earth's problems. I mean, superheroes can't even solve their own fictional Earth's problems. And it's quite boring now. And that's about it. So thank you so much. And I don't want to get boring in this. So cheers, and thank you for tuning in.